I born?
Yeah.
1922. Randolph Central, but I quit and I come out. I wanted to go in the Navy. I made up my mind I wanted to go in the Navy. So I did finally quit. Then I went to work in the catalogist cutlery in Little Valley. Then I went in the service. I finally went in.
Were you drafted in, or?
I was drafted in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was waiting for him to take me.
They placed you in the Navy. Did you want to be in the Navy as opposed to the Army?
Oh yes, definitely.
Why?
Well, I got to like, when I was a young kid, I got to liking the 3 boats on Chautauqua Lake. There were 3 boats, and they burnt 2 of them, and it broke my heart as a little kid.
You go to a boot camp.
I went to Sampson, yeah.
And where was that?
Finger Lakes, Cayuga Lake, I think was down out by Auburn, New York. Well, I can tell you the first night that I was at Sampson, I was one of the most homesick farmer kids you ever wanted to see.
Oh, really?
I was used to open life. Went to Henry Ford's Aircraft School. I took up welding, silver soldering, pipe fitting, metalsmith, all kinds of things. That's where stainless steel come out, and I started welding metal for stainless steel pots for Henry to use on his chow wagons he hauled behind a cart.
Henry, when you say Henry
Ford.
Henry Ford.
Yeah.
So I'm reading here that after boot camp you were sent to the Henry Ford's Aircraft School in Dearborn.
Right.
And I think you mentioned here that at least you saw Henry Ford.
From a distance. I was up on the 3rd story. I presume he had a little group of people or something he was showing around, because he mixed with everybody.
Yeah.
He so many things he made for us. Like he had like open buses. We'd go from factory to factory from our barracks. He had open buses for us to stand on. We didn't have to march.
After Dearborn, then you went to San Francisco.
Then I went to San Francisco on the train, troop train. And
what was that like? We've never had anybody explain train rides where the whole train is loaded with troops.
Well, it was loaded with Army and everything going to the West Coast. And it was very hot.
And how long did a train trip from Dearborn to San Francisco take?
I think we were probably almost a week by the time we got done with the breakdown and the tie-up. They moved us into what they called a submarine building. It was a round roof building, huge, where they presumed assembled submarines on the West Coast. And it was a big building, and they had big tanks in there, and then I started learning underwater welding. We would dive down into the steel tanks and weld in the tank. The regular suits.
Oh, wow.
Our belt weighed 17 pounds, our shoes weighed 17 pounds. They screwed our head on and off. Yeah, and it got very...
So they had to teach you how to dive as well as how to weld?
Yeah.
Wow.
Had to learn all that. Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah.
No light.
You had learned how to swim before you could join the Navy then too, right?
Oh, I already learned. I learned to swim right down this creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a story in itself. In Frewsburg, and we'd ride over on a milk truck and get off here at my uncles and cousins just the other side of the railroad track. And that's a little Conewango. My mother said, "Now don't you go in the water, Junior." And of course I never answered her. But anyway, we had a corn roast, and so we all kind of went in our own suits, and they got me on a 55-gallon drum, and that drum went over. When that drum went over, great big water snake went by me. Omer started swimming. One thing that stayed with me, we were just getting into Frisco on the train, and a man got hit by a shark. I was right in sight of Alcatraz in the bay, and they presume a man was caught by a shark, and it just scared us to death. I did something bad. I did one bad thing in the Navy. My wife came out there, and we were in about 9 barracks, double decks, double floors, 9 barracks, which made about 1,000 some sailors in the bullpen, they called it. And they had a fence around it, and a gate on each of the 4 sides. So my wife came, and a guy above me, he and I went to ship service, and I met my wife, and he met his girlfriend. They were together, just one of those coincidences. So, we went back, and he said, "You want to get out? Get out, yeah. $2 we can go out the gate." Omer did. And
to catch up with your wife.
Yep.
Yep, there you go.
And so Omer did, and so we come back on the key system train across the bridge, and I didn't realize it, but the key system only run maybe every 3 hours in the evening somewhat. So I couldn't get a train, and there I is. So anyway, I got back in late, but I landed on my number. The Army was running the ship, the USS General John Pope. The Army was running the ship, and he said, "Well, I'll take your ID card." We had an ID card, and "I'll take your ID card, and when we get to our destination, I'll give it back to you. But you will get some punishment." So it went pretty nice for about a day and a half, and all of a sudden my name was called, and I went before an Army officer. It was a captain. He said, "You're going to get the incinerator to work on it." Ooh, I just about melted, because the incinerator is the fault stack, most generally, in the rear of the ship, to the back of the ship. So I went up, and they took me down to the fantail, and all I had to do was sit there and read magazines and tell the Army men where to put the garbage on the fantail and read magazines.
What a job.
We went to Port Moresby, New Guinea, the south, almost a little bit western tip of New Guinea. We walked on planks and mud to get off the ship. Can you imagine a few hundred men trying to put me on the 1060? That was a landing craft. We landed troops. The last invasion I was on was in Borneo.
A PT boat task unit of the 7th Fleet on a night patrol and strafing mission along the northwest coast of Borneo.
The landing craft. We landed troops. The last invasion I was on was in Borneo.
Did you get a chance to talk to them? Because you're dropping them off in islands.
Yes, I did. That was another heartbreaking time. We had about 400 troops on our ship. About 400. The ship is only about 200 feet long, about 40 feet beam. Small ship. And I happened to meet a few guys, and I'll have to bring this incident in. So they were stevedores, all of them, black stevedores. And these two guys come on, and our little exec officer, Mr. Rickers, he wore an overseas hat, and we called him the Bunny. He was a good man. He was a school teacher, very dedicated, though. But anyhow, he was used to saying, and he'd tell them, put those boxes right there, boys. These two guys said, no, sir, no, sir. So we're all looking, you know. There's only 28 of us in the crew. We're all looking. And his lieutenant says, is you going to put that over there, or is I going to help you? A guy by the name of Sutton, and he did leather engraving for me, made me a book for all my pictures. And Sutton and all of us went to a little island right beside Manus Island for movies. See, a small boat would come and pick us up and take us to the movies. And anyhow, they got a hold of some Aussie beer, and Aussie beer is just a little bit, I don't drink beer, but it was a little stronger than the other. Well, the one guy got pretty bad. He came, and I just started working in the galley, cooking and that, as a seaman, but I worked in there, come off the deckhand. I was sick of chipping and painting. And so Sutton went in and got the meat cleaver, went after the captain.
You're not supposed to do that, huh?
No, not if you want to keep your captain. Who's going to steer the ship?
Wow.
And got pretty bad, and of course he called, you know, we were in a flotilla, and he called, and they took him. And we were on an invasion, and he called us on lights, signal us that he was there, but we never actually saw him, but he was still out there. He wanted to get out.
Yeah, well.
He'd been there for 3 years. Can you imagine that, a young kid? And heck, he was only 22 then.
Well, that's one way to get out.
Yeah, Section 8.
Section 8, that's right. Incident where you actually came close to a mine.
Yes, it was on the starboard side. My emergency spot was emergency steering. In other words, there was a wheel back under the deck, and during invasions and that, I go down and stand by that wheel or set up on the top with my helmet on and headgear phones on in case the steering let loose. Well, anyhow, up on the conning tower, were buttons, starboard and port, right and left. And I was right there, standing right there, and even the captain was up on the con, and Canthak and a few of the guys. And all of a sudden I saw that. There was probably at least as near as my barn. over to my barn from the ship. I didn't touch it. I said, if I turn it, I'll turn the fantail into the mine or most anything. I went on and held my breath. Probably didn't breathe for a few seconds.
You went by it, then what happened?
There was, I think, a destroyer that shot it out of the water.
You saw the explosion?
I saw the explosion. I saw it, and that was the only mine I ever saw explode. And I was lucky. They were very cute. The Japs had them trained. They worked for the Japs. They would get stuff from us for the Japs, and then the Japs would give them junk. And so, anyhow, then they had this, hey, Joe, money swim. We'd throw a penny, and probably about 8 foot down, they would grab that penny. Imagine that, a kid, probably 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
They were really clever. So we left Tackle Bay, and that was probably about the 1st of August we left the bay. I got pictures of even the government building in Tacloban. And we headed out, and all of a sudden we heard the war ended after a couple of days. We went to Hawaii is where we went. And then it wasn't. Got to Hawaii, and I had my first liberty on my birthday, August 7th. We left Hawaii, and I think 2 days later, something like the 8th or 9th or something, the war did end. And so we were in between Hawaii and the United States when it ended.
You were still on the LCI
1060.
That's an open boat, right? Basically.
Yes.
How did that travel in the water? In the open ocean, it'd be pretty bouncy.
Well, that would go through a wave like would be like more or less the height, about as high as that railroad fill is.
Yeah.
And we were small and light and flat bottom. We'd go through a wave, and then right in another, we'd go boom. And our cook, he always got seasick from it. I didn't ever get seasick out there.
That'd be a rough.
What's the legacy of all this?
Well, I've said one thing that might not be nice. I think every young man should have a year's military training, but don't use him for fodder, gun fodder. That's my feelings.